hunter in my spare time, and it's something I've actually had a passion about for well over a decade now. So I have been getting the inside scoop on who they are, what they're doing, how they recruit, what their rituals look like, and who actually runs the organization. I'm going to give you a huge overview today on all of that, and then we're going to be looking at the next 5 years. So let's backtrack a little bit. How do I know all of this information? I don't do any external research. I don't read articles. I don't listen to whistleblowers. I get my information right from the source because I'm a remote viewer. Essentially what that means is I have the ability to get out of my body and go wherever I want to go, which is really badass. And yeah, I've gotten myself into a couple of tricky situations, and if you've been on my channel, you know what those situations are. And very specifically, I have gotten into some tricky situations with the Illuminati and other shadow government organizations. But if you don't push those boundaries, then you're never going to know. And that's what I'm here to do today, and that's what I'm here to do on my channel, is to push those boundaries, to go into unknown places, and to bring back information and insights for your entertainment and enjoyment, but also so that we can all walk around on this planet with eyes wide open. What they want from you is they want you to be distracted. They want you to be dull. They want you to be so in the rat race, making money or scrolling on social media, that you're not questioning the narrative, that you're not thinking for yourself. And that's what my channel kind of helps you do, is to question everything. So yeah, as always, you guys, take it or leave it. I do not expect anyone to believe what I do, because you're probably not sitting there remote viewing the exact same thing. And for those of you who are, then you can validate all of the experiences that I've had as well, which is also pretty cool. Now, I do want to say, before we deep dive into the Illuminati and all of this information, I do believe that everyone can remote view. This is not some sort of 5th generational thing that I've inherited. It is something that I self-taught, and then very recently, in the last year, I got certified in. So just know that anyone can do this. It just takes a certain level of focus and concentration. If you want more information on remote viewing, you can go check out my astral travel workshop. It's an hour and a half, and I give you all of my self-taught tips and tricks because I believe that you can do what I do. All right? I've always said this, but I'll say it again. I hope that one day I'm out of a job. I hope that eventually all of you come to me and say, EA, we don't need you, because I can go there myself. All right? And no, I don't want you to get information from AI and ChatGPT. I want you to be able to get out of your body and go there. All right? For other remote viewing information and details, and also Illuminati shadow government agenda information, I have all of that on my website. Like, I've looked at Kobe, I've looked at Elon Musk, I've looked at just so much information over the years, and really taken a look at sort of what's going on behind the scenes. If you don't want to sign up for a membership, I also have, I believe, what is it, a conspiracy video bundle that you can just like deep dive into. So yeah, just check it out if you want more information, because I don't feel safe putting everything out there. And when I do, it's usually banned anyway. I did a huge thing on Charlie Kirk that was taken down on TikTok. I was afraid to put it back up. It reached 1 million views before it was, whatever, community guidelines, right? Okay, so let's just dive in. I'm just going to define the Illuminati first, because some of you may be really new to this, and some of you who maybe are not new to this at all have not actually listened to the definition of the Illuminati. This is my own definition of the Illuminati, so take it or leave it. Hopefully it resonates. I sat down and just thought about how I would define it, and this is what I came up with. A secretive group of individuals not connected to any one political association, which is important, or geographical location, which is important, who have the money and the power to control the world without checks and balances. A pretty good summary. They're a shadow group. They're a shadow government. They control things without borders, without laws, without boundaries. So when I say that everything we are being fed, everything we are being taught, everything that we see in the news is a lie or a projection or an illusion, what I really mean is they're only giving us the narrative they want us to believe and see. And of course, we're consenting to that narrative by believing it. Remember quantum mechanics. We project the reality that we observe. As we observe their narrative, we are consenting to it with our free will, and they all know all about that, and therefore we are then creating it. All right? So wake up and realize that. All right. Like I mentioned, I spent many years, like we are talking well over a decade now. I'm 33. I started remote viewing at 18, and specifically all I wanted to remote view at first was agendas, conspiracies, shadow governments, military bases. That was at 18, so yeah, it's been a while. So I have spent many years remote viewing the members, the historical connections, the rituals, and the agendas of this shadow organization, okay, all of it. And what's really cool about remote viewing is it goes beyond space and time, which means I've actually been able to go into historical record, which is insane, and see how this group formed hundreds, if not thousands of years ago, why they formed, and how they got to where they are now. I'm not gonna go into that much detail today, but I have gone into that much detail in prior videos. It's fascinating, and they really haven't changed their tune too much, which is kind of sad. It's sad because humanity hasn't really, like we've bought into it so much that they really haven't had to change things much, which is once again sad. All right, so I also wanted to point out before we get into a couple of the members of the Illuminati, I want to point out that there is a difference between those who run the Illuminati and those who are members of the Illuminati. Those who run the organization and those who are members. I would say that if you think about any sort of political or celebrity figure, and I want to also mention, not every political figure, not every celebrity figure is a part of this organization. At first I thought, oh my goodness, anyone with an influence, anyone with a reach, anyone who is on TV is a part of it, and that's just absolutely not the case. There's a lot that are, but not everyone. Okay. The individuals who run the organization are like 1%. The members of the organization are like 98, 99% of the organization. That is a very important thing to note, okay? And of course, the organization itself is, I don't know, probably less than 1% of the entire population. I'm really not sure about that percentage, but it's a very, very small percent, at least less than 5% of the entire population of planet Earth, if not a lot smaller than that. There are those who run it, and there are members. Before I talk about specific celebrities and members, ones that I have remote viewed in particular, and it's a very, very sad, it's just a very sad story for many of these members. Let's talk about the individuals who run it, okay? Now, I'm sure if you have either been on my channel a lot or you have just been eyes wide open to these organizations before, then you're very well aware of the fact that there are certain families across the planet that have an insurmountable amount of power because they hold the majority of the wealth in the world. At a certain point in time, it's not money that they're after because money no longer means anything. In fact, if you look way back in history, they created the entire monetary system, which once again is a complete narrative that they want us to literally buy into and believe into so that we're trapped as their slaves. And that's like a whole thing, but we won't get into that. It's not about money. It's about power and control. So let me just mention a couple of these families for you. And if you want to do your own research, by all means, go for it. No surprise here, but the Rothschilds family, they are a banking dynasty. Then we've got the Rockefeller family, which is an oil dynasty, and they really control ExxonMobil and others. And then we've got the Walton family, who control Walmart. No surprise there. And then we've got the House of Saud, who is basically like a royal family in Saudi Arabia, and they are all about oil and geopolitics. I have remote viewed them a couple of times. They've come up, which is really fascinating. And then we've got the Windsor family. And actually, I think about a year ago, maybe 2 years ago now, after Queen Elizabeth died, there was a huge vie for power between the House of Saud and the Windsor family, which is just a fascinating clash of everything, but massive power dynamics being played there. So the Windsor family is just really just like a monarchy, more so a symbolic monarchy at this point, but they hold, once again, a lot of these political connections, and they're very much so a commonwealth. And then we've got the Koch family, a lot lesser known, but they're all about like energy, chemicals, and manufacturing. A lot of power and money being held within that family. And then you've got the Morgan family, which I'm sure we've all heard of JP Morgan. They are a massive banking family and organization. What's fascinating is you don't really hear about the players within these family dynamics, because they want you to be talking about Elon Musk. They want you to be talking about Bill Gates or Jeff Bezos. They want you to be focused on other pawns in the game rather than them. And that's why they're very much so secretive and under wraps. And they diversify a lot of their wealth among family members specifically for that reason. They don't want to be targeted. They don't want the heat. They don't want the attention because of what they're doing. So let's go ahead and talk about some of the now members. Those are the individuals, some of them anyway, some of the ones we can pinpoint and name that run the Illuminati, okay? Those are just some of them. And there's a lot of them that I don't even have names for. They're just individuals who run things. But let's talk about some of the members of the Illuminati. And it's tough. I mean, it's tough. I don't know. Like when I observe members of this organization, I actually have a lot of compassion for them, because in a lot of ways I see them as victims. They kind of got, I don't want to say scammed into it or conned into it. Let's call it manipulated. They definitely got manipulated into this organization, and they for sure did not know what they were getting into at the beginning. I have a lot of videos on the rituals that are involved in getting into the Illuminati. One of the videos, I believe there's like blood rituals in the title, so you can go to my website and type that in to kind of get to know a little bit more about what's involved in getting into this organization. What you need to know is that, right, fame and money is promised to individuals who maybe they have a talent, maybe they have like a baseline of something, maybe they actually just have a pure soul and they're easily manipulated. But they've got something in them, right, that sets them apart. And then they are offered fame, riches, money, power, control, whatever it is that they desire the most in exchange for. And as I've said before, you know, a lot of celebrities and even songs throughout the years have referenced like, I sold my soul to the devil. That's not the case. You can't ever sell your soul. It's not something that you can trade or monetarily exchange for, but you can, in a way, I guess, sell your body. And this is what they do, right? So they're like, okay, great, use me as long as I can pay my bills or like live in a mansion or have fame or whatever it may be. And it gets like way more in depth. They have to do certain things in order to be indoctrinated into this organization. And one of the things that they end up doing, I'm not going to mention what they do in the rituals because I have mentioned it before and I'm just not going to go there today, but they have to do certain things within these rituals. And the things that they end up doing are despicable. I would never, ever, ever wish what I've seen on anyone, not even my worst enemy. It's disturbing, beyond disturbing. And it's filmed. And as it's filmed and documented, it's essentially immediate blackmail, right? Now, we've heard of like P. Diddy's house and the Epstein files. Like, these are just two, not individuals who run the Illuminati, but individuals who are members of it, high-ranking members, but still just members, still just, I don't even want to mention that they're victims in their own right. There are individuals who are more victims than others. But either way, these are individuals, high-ranking individuals, who have then performed these rituals, who have made other people perform rituals, and have videotaped those rituals, and then they have that proof and that evidence. And all of that is either completely destroyed at this point, or it's being hidden and held in a very, very top secret safe place. I've seen both. I've seen the evidence being held, and then I've also seen evidence being destroyed. I want to mention a couple of names of some of the victims that I've observed. Britney Spears, I mean, I think we can all just like look at her now and just have so much compassion for this broken individual. A lot of the victims, a lot of these celebrities, a lot of the victims, they just end up going through so much programming. And we're talking like MK Ultra level programming, a lot of like drugs being put onto them and in them. Just like essentially they're used as puppets, and they're now locked in because they've done these things and they've got blackmail against them. And they're just so broken by the end of it, especially when they are indoctrinated at a young age, that they've got nothing left to them. Justin Bieber is another really good example of one of these victims. Really, really sad. A lesser known victim would be like Amanda Bynes. I don't know if any of you have seen her recently. It's just really sad, especially me, like growing up in the 90s. And then the list goes on, truly. The list goes on and on and on. You've got Taylor Swift as well. What's really fascinating too about sort of the members of the Illuminati is that there are some that play the role of the bad guy, and there are some that play the role of like the good guy, like within like the celebrity culture. Like, ooh, the innocent country singer, you know, or like the badass rapper or whatever. But they're all sort of still in the same group and organization. They're just playing a role. And the reason why they fit them into these roles is so that they target pretty much every single section of the population. Oh, well, teen girls are going to resonate with this one, or, you know, older males are going to resonate with this one, or this cultural group will resonate with this. And so they're really looking to control all areas of the population. And we're going to talk about what this is going to look like in the future, because things are changing, and I've got some crazy predictions for you. What else did I want to mention? Yeah, I do want to mention Taylor Swift. So I did a whole video on Taylor Swift maybe like 6 months ago. And yeah, she's a member. And yes, she, along with Britney Spears and Justin Bieber, had to do certain things to be a part of that group and organization. I do still consider them victims, even though within those rituals, they are also perpetrators. But someone like Taylor Swift, which was so fascinating when I was taking a look at her energy. And also keep in mind that when I remote view anyone, and like I've remote viewed, so in 2026, I've got a whole series where I remote view like huge, massive, influential figures like Putin, Kim Jong-un. I remote viewed Obama, Michelle Obama. I remote viewed Oprah Winfrey. I remote viewed Greta Thunberg. Anyway, I remote viewed tons of people. I just want to mention, because I don't usually mention this, and then we always get emails about this, I always ask an individual's higher self, if not their conscious self, for permission before I remote view or tap into their information. And if I don't get permission from them to tap into information, then I don't get into their information. I just wanted to put that out there. Like, because I've been doing this for such a long time, I have very high spiritual morals when it comes to what I do and where I go, especially because it's not that it's secretive, but that as a remote viewer, you can get away with a lot of shit. Like, I call it creeping around, right? And like, because it's like really just creeping around, I do have a high moral standard. I don't always mention it when I do remote viewing, but permission is really important to me. So I just wanted to put that out there for anyone who's like up in arms about that. That's really important. Okay. So what I saw with Taylor Swift is that she's got a silver lining to her, and that she is one of these individuals who actually has quite a nice soul, like a very soft essence, and she has the ability to be a whistleblower later down the line. And we're going to talk about this because in the next 5 years, between 2026 to 2030, we are going to see so many shifts and transitions when it comes to celebrities, influencers, and members of the Illuminati. Okay. Yes, one more thing before I get into the predictions. And I wrote this down. Okay. They have to publicly state, I don't know how else to say this, but I feel like it's important. Members of the Illuminati have to publicly state that they are, I called them puppets, which is a bit of a derogatory term, but puppets or slaves, which I also call them, or workers. Let's just call them workers for the Illuminati, in order to abide by free will. The Illuminati, the members, the individuals who control that shadow government side, they understand free will, they understand consent, and they understand that if they were to override the population's free will, there would be laws, there would be rules and regulations applied, right? And that's where the Galactic Federation or other, the White Hats, other governing bodies step in and essentially say, whoa, 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 you're not allowed to do this, and now we can give you consequences because you're not allowed to do this. Anyway, free will is a huge thing. All right. This is why members of the Illuminati have to publicly give, what is it called? Like, they basically have to publicly say, without really saying it, that they are members of the Illuminati, in order to let the population know, hey, I'm a part of this organization and I actually work for this organization. So if you listen to my music or you follow me on social media or you come out to my concerts or you watch my TV shows, you are consenting to me being a part of this group, right? I'm not going to go into all of the symbolism, all right? But there's a lot of like hand symbolism. There's a lot of like black and white tiled floor symbolism. So funny story, just the other week, it was like maybe a week ago or 2 weeks ago now, and my friend of like over a decade now calls me up, and it's so funny because she's a really big fan of Lady Gaga, okay? And I've told her for years, she always sends me songs, oh, this one really resonates with me or whatever. And I just told her, I said, look, like, I can't listen to Illuminati music, and Lady Gaga is a member of the Illuminati. She's like, no, there's no way that she's a part of the Illuminati. She's doing so much good in the world. I'm like, that's okay. Like, I'm not telling you not to listen to her, but like, I'm just not going to consent and listen and like basically bring that into my life. Anyway, I've been telling her that for years, and that's fine. She goes to a Lady Gaga concert. This is like the highlight of like her year, okay? She goes to like super fan Lady Gaga concert. She tells me that she is in the audience, right? Great seats or whatever. So close to Lady Gaga. And she is singing at the top of her lungs one of Lady Gaga's songs. And she makes this realization right there on the spot. And she's like, what am I singing? And one of her songs, I guess, is all about Lady Gaga being this clone, being this like perfect puppet, something about drinking blood. Like we're talking like full on, the whole song is like Illuminati cloning blood ritual references. And she is singing this at the top of her lungs, just having a great time, and makes this conscious realization of, what am I singing? What am I doing right now? And since then, which was 2 or 3 weeks ago, just spiraled into a whole world of conspiracy. She's like, all my TikTok videos are Illuminati-based, like shadow government-based, like conspiracy agenda videos. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, Yep, I've been saying this for over a decade now. And for me, like, I'm a little like, how do I say this? I don't know. I'm a little lackluster. Like, I'm just like, it doesn't really excite me anymore because I'm kind of over it. But it reminded me that we've got billions of people all around the world who have no idea this is going on. This is what actually inspired this video. Who are going to wake up to the fact that their celebrity crush or their politician or their sports player or whatever is actually a part of this top secret organization. Yeah, so it gives me hope. It really does. It gives me hope. All right, I just had to say that. Okay, so let's talk about the next 5 years. All right, there's a lot going on in the next 5 years, and I have to say with full-on confidence that the Illuminati is falling. This shadow government organization is falling, and they are losing their resources very, very quickly. And when they lose their resources, they lose their stronghold. They lose their control around the population. The number one reason why they're losing resources and they're losing their control is because the vibration is shifting on planet Earth. I know it sounds totally woo-woo and spiritual and like whatever, but it's actually true. At a scientific and even metaphysical and quantum mechanic level, that is what's happening. The vibration is shifting and changing, which means people like my friend, who I love so much, if you're listening to this, are going to start waking up, are going to start questioning the narrative, and are going to start actually removing themselves from the consent that we've all been giving by watching the news and other things, you know, by participating in politics and those sort of things. And things will change and shift, and there will be sort of singers and influencers and even politicians, believe it or not, who are good and pure and not corrupted. So that's a part of it. All right, so they're losing the battle. The other biggest reason why they're losing the battle is because they are having a hard time recruiting new members. One of the biggest reasons is because when they go to a 14-year-old and they're like, hey, we see that you've got talent and we'd like to recruit you. Do you want to be famous? Do you want wealth? Do you want followers or whatever? And the kid's like, yeah, I mean, I've got money, I've got fame, I've got followers without you. Because of the thing like social media and the internet, right? So because of the internet, because of social media, there's not necessarily one funnel or one avenue for influence anymore. So they're losing their ability to recruit. That being said, in the next 5 years, I definitely still saw that they're gonna be able to recruit people because there are desperate people who do want a quick, easy fame, fortune, influence, who don't really want to put the work in. Things are changing, they're changing slowly. But that was one of the things that I saw. So please pay attention, 2026 to 2030, the sudden rise of random stars and influencers. This could be online social media influencers, this could be celebrity figures, I don't know. I'm like so anti-pop culture, I just don't know. It could be politicians, it could be, but we're talking like someone who just comes out of the woodwork and all of a sudden they're in every single big blockbuster movie, or they're at the top charts of all of the music charts. Anyway, like they just rise really quickly. You're also gonna notice too that there are gonna be people who are, let's call them organic influencers who were not a part of that organization, all of a sudden getting really political, all of a sudden changing their tune on a lot of things. I hate to say, I don't even want to mention names. There are a couple of people that I'm thinking of that say we're a big YouTuber and all of a sudden have been quite sort of changing their tune and kind of corrupted over just recently. Those are individuals who may be joining the Illuminati. Just keeping that in mind. And then watch for the symbolism. Remember, they have to publicly state that they are a part of this group in order to abide by the law of free will. Watch for symbolism. Anything with one eye, any sort of six hand signals or pyramid signal, like things like that. Just look up the symbolism of the Illuminati and then just be aware of that. I'm not going to go over it all. I have gone over it all in past videos. You're also going to see mysterious deaths. So this is something that I saw as well in the next 5 years. We're going to see really, really famous people. Maybe they're older, maybe they're younger, but they're just going to suddenly die. And that could be from, quote unquote, unaliving themselves. I think that's what YouTubers say. And then also it could be from an overdose, you know? It's going to be sudden, or it's like a mysterious illness or what have you, and it's not, okay? These are individuals who are about to be whistleblowers, who no longer want to do the rituals, who no longer want to participate, who start to sort of act against these shadow government organizations, and they are taken out. And unfortunately, that is still a thing. We're going to see a lot of that in the next 5 years. We're going to see a dramatic increase of that, because they're going to find their voice and they're actually going to stand up and say no, and they know exactly the repercussions of standing up and saying no, or exactly the repercussions of speaking out against the organization. You're also going to see a lot of influential people, celebrities, politicians, whoever, that have like unhinged moments. I don't know how else to put that, but just like really sudden like outbursts, or a lot of sort of pop stars or whatever, I don't know, rappers, I don't know, people who are on stage singing, musicians, who are a part of that organization will start to speak against it, say like in a live setting, when they can kind of get away with it. So you're going to see the unhinged moments, and then they're going to be put into rehab, which is the rehabilitation of the programming of the MK Ultra and all of that. Be aware of that. Okay. And then what else did I see? And then we are going to start to see more whistleblowers. So we saw the whole P. Diddy thing. We saw the whole Epstein thing. We saw a lot of sort of information getting disclosed, and we saw a lot of information being withheld. We're going to see more of that. We're going to see a lot more of that. So please keep that in mind moving forward. And then once again, we're going to see either the rehab of these individual whistleblowers or the sudden and mysterious unalivings of these whistleblowers. Pay attention to that, okay? Okay, cool. So finally, I just want to mention, just a couple of days ago, I did a really incredible remote view with the White Hats. So we're talking about the shadow government. There is another force on planet Earth who, to be honest, like, I don't know, I don't want to say like I didn't believe in it, but like I'm a skeptical person. As much as I believe in the crazy shit that I've seen and like remote view and believe in, I am very logical, I am very skeptical, I am also very curious and open-minded. Anyway, I didn't really believe in the White Hats for many years until I actually remote viewed them. And then I'm like, oh wow, there's actually a whole organization, thank goodness, on planet Earth who are working for us. Some of them are like white hat hackers. Some of them are embedded in politics, which is so nice to see. It's like, great, you're embedded in the old system and you're ready to change and shift that old system. Anyway, I had a great conversation with them just a couple of days ago about what the current agendas are, what the shadow governments are trying to get away with, how they're trying to influence the population, and how they're stopping them. It was a really fascinating conversation. You will find that recording under Season 2025, Episode 10 of the Galactic Federation Summit. It wasn't really a Galactic Federation meeting. I decided to do a white hat remote view kind of last minute. So you'll find it under that. But we'll link that link directly in the description of this video. So please keep that in mind if you want to know sort of current events for 2025. Yeah. And other than that, guys, just keep your eyes wide open, question everything. This world is not as it seems, but the second we step away from it is the second we realize what the truth is. And remember that you can all remote view. You can all get out of your body. You can all see and receive the same information that I am seeing and receiving. And the more of us that do this, the better. The safer I am in doing what I'm doing if there's more of us. And this is why I feel safe right now, because I'm not the only one gaining access to this information. All right? Okay. Thank you guys so much. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, but hop on over to my website for all of my agenda and conspiracy, remote viewing, Illuminati, ritual videos, because it gets wild and there's only so much I can say on here. All right? Take it easy. I love you guys so much. Until next time. Bye.